It is October the 9th, 2016. I'm Dina, your host, nuclear proctologist, and .org. We're off and running into Friday, the Skit Day. Skit Day, of course, is the day where we try to juice it up a little tiny bit or a whole lot or just a bitty, itty, witty, little bit over the edge. Yeah, that's how we roll. So, green screens, I'm going to try to get 4. We raised another 1,000. Oh, Mark, over the top. Hugs for everybody. That's 1,810 we've raised. It's enough to get 4 of those and 4 of these, or enough to get 2 of those and 6, 7, 8 of those per se. I need 3. But we're going to stick with the plan and get 2. Get 4 of those. They're 120 Canadian. And seems we got money enough to start looking. This is what I'm looking at. 1,695. We're going to up the game. We got to do it right. 4K, real production, real broadcasting. Don't even look at that. But on the bright side of all of that, now there's other cameras that got similar features, different price ranges. They're $1,200, $1,400. That's where we start to stream. eBay. That's not the music we wanted. My apologies. I keep forgetting to knock that off right away. We're almost ready. Here we go. So eBay had some good options. I'm looking at that. Instead of $1,600, $1,200. And you get these, like all these extras you're talking huge money for lenses and stuff like that, brand new. It's just, this is the only thing sensible to look at. And so that broadcaster, there's a lot of options on eBay. So you get the parts you need off eBay after, but we're going to target that. And so we need to raise, and we'll do a fundraiser next week if we got to another, say, 1,000, 1,100. And then probably another 300 or 400 for secondhand lenses and whatever. But that's the route to go. That's the better route. And what that'll do is it'll allow us to fit right in. Look, I mean, the workers think they've done a good job. There's 6 times more breast cancer around this power plant, same as any other power plant. There's double leukemia for children around this power plant, same as any other power plant. We think our workers done a pretty good job. So they're gone on strike, but that's a good argument. I mean, there is 6 times more breast cancer around nuclear power plants within studies are 15 miles, but if you went out to 50 miles and actually looked for what shows up before cancer, like autism, diabetes, and death, and heart and liver and lung and respiratory. So they got a 24-hour strike. They should all have to go down and work at Fukushima before they get another check. Call to build a nuclear power plant in Portland. See, this is like way over the top. And by the way, good morning, everybody. I'm going to work hard to resolve the computer on the weekend on top of everything else. I'm going to do the screen in the background. I'll get a quart of paint or try to find a few right color, darker greens until the green screens show up, because this is hard to do. But a mayor of Portland is a city of 10,000 people, and they want to put a nuclear power plant there, which is over. So I think what we should do is send Mr. Purcell down to Fukushima Prefecture to the reactors in Japan, and if he can show us a 10-second video of him at Unit 4, say, or Unit 3, like leaning on the building or something, yeah? we won't object to him getting a nuclear power plant for 10,000 people. Yeah? Sounds like I think that's pretty fair. Think about the good side of it. You only got to buy him a one-way ticket. So,
it's a win.
Here with us, it's a pretty good plan I got going on here,
It is. So imagine somebody wants to put a power plant in a city to revitalize the city when you end up with 6 times more breast cancer around those shitholes. Okay, let's keep going. The crazies at World Nuclear News. Let's make no mistake, these people are batshit whack jobs. These are the world's biggest losers. And so they make a statement anyway, climate target. This is what they use in relationship to nuclear about climate target, but climate as destroyed by nuclear. Nuclear boils 1 million gallons of water a minute. So we got a little clip to kind of make some sense. Maybe.
A nuclear power plant has to have a coal, oil, or gas plant. And did you know that if you had a coal, oil, or gas accident, you don't have to evacuate your community? You don't have to pass out tablets for 50 miles. You don't have to do anything. You put the fire out, nobody even got to leave their homes. It's interesting because the coal, oil, and gas, you got to have that to run a nuclear power plant. A nuclear power plant can't run itself. But a coal, oil, and gas, they can power themselves. But a nuclear, it can't power itself or any other nuclear power plant because of the energy, the way it's producing energy. Because if you have an accident at a nuclear power plant, it's game over, see? You can take that chance with all the other ones because they're harmless.
And they put low carbon in there. Senators asked for quick actions to address the Hanford. Now, Hanford was where they made the plutonium, which is man-made for weapons. It's an isotope. And...
Well, hell yeah, I work. I sniff the air, and if I smell anything, I write it down in my book. So I don't know why everybody's calling me a canary for it.
Shut up, canary. And for the tanks and the suits and equipment they got on doesn't protect them from X-rays.
I sniff the air, and if I smell anything, I write it.
Did I click that again? The workers' suits don't protect you from X-rays or gamma shine or neutron bursts. And then the isotopes, they can get out of the liners of, say, dive tanks, commercial dive tanks. So think about a commercial dive tank. You put it on your back, you take it underwater, it's full of air. Imagine if that air leaked out. But isotopes would, because they're so tiny. But yeah, the single isotope can cause a cancer. And my cigarettes don't have 7,000 chemicals, by the way. So why do your cigarettes have 7,000 chemicals? Does your food have 7,000 chemicals? Would you buy drinks for your children with 7,000 chemicals or for your friends? No. 7,000 nutrients or... So, a rebuttal to nuclear power op-ed was pretty good. It wasn't totally accurate, but it was, for somebody that spoke it was awesome. And what they talk about was kind of how nuclear power plants are fleeced and everything and everybody and how they lie. Links are below to all this stuff.
And I don't know what's worse, $4 billion over the fact that it cost $14 billion to build it and they're still not finished. Like, who's going to pay for that? You're paying for it. You're paying for it before it's built by increasing your taxes. How is that going to be cheaper in the future when prices never get rolled back? And then you got $30 billion to $40 billion for 40 years of security. Probably $1 trillion to store it for its lifetime, over its lifetime. So every generation that could possibly exist will have to deal with it forever and ever. It's idiotic.
And useless and destructive. Think about the isotopes you should be worried about, like curium.
And plutonium, there's not just 239. Uranium is not just 238, 232, 233 are fissional products. 239. Strontium has so many deadly isotopes. It's not just strontium-90. But this is what they told you. That's a tracer to cesium-137. But we're worried about the 134, the 129, the 139, the 147s. We're worried about everything you see there in the americium or the neptunium. These are nasty. These act like plutonium. These are hot particles. These are bone seekers. The government to stay involved. Nationalism, you know. They own 51% of TEPCO. The Japanese government, which is the Japanese people. But it kind of reminds me, see all those tanks? They're full of what they say is harmless tritium water. Why are they building all the tanks if it's harmless? Oh, it's harmless now. They want to dump it in the ocean. But why did you build all the tanks? How can Japan settle the issue of those tanks? Drink it. This is Forbes. Forbes. Well, it's not bad. We're going to store it so you can drink it later. We'll sell it in bottles. I mean, it's valuable. It's nuclear. Radiation, you know, is like a banana. It's everywhere. Like a potato chip. So we're going to drink it. Well, not us, not our children, but yours. And so, until you remember that sunbathing and eating bananas are pleasant radioactive pastimes. Really? See, John, he's a boil on everybody's arse, that guy. To say that, why are they building all these tanks? Now, the ministry officially announced a fund will be established to loot the taxpayers. And it also said compensation costs will be looted. Blah, 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 blah. And just when I threw in there this morning, Hinkley Point relaunched nuclear in Europe. Really? Hinkley Point is going to relaunch it? Once again, they need to see the bottom highlighted focus. We need to focus on low carbon positives of nuclear. There's no such thing. It's impossible to have low carbon nuclear. What the frig is they talking about? In every article, you'll see those connotations. So nearly 20% of the anti-radiation shelters, because it's like a banana. And what that means, though, they got 220 radiation protection shelters being prepared because of Fukushima. It's not like a banana, but they're telling you it is. But they're building them because it's not like one, right? In 17 prefectures. I think there's 20 different power plant facilities. Lots of them got multiple reactors. There's around 54 reactors. They're full of nuclear waste from the last 40 years, fuel rods, reactor cores. Fuel rods are waste is reactor cores we're talking about. They need to be put somewhere for 1 billion years, not deep in the ground where they can go into a chain reaction in 10, 20, 50 years and destroy whatever's left of the planet. Not that there will be. 39 facilities, 17% are located in landslide. As Fukushima showed us, even on the other side of the Pacific, we should have radioactive fallout shelters for every home. And it's too late in one sense because of what they got done to us. Remember, these people have already killed the Pacific Ocean. And they're doing everything they can to restart these plants by building these facilities. Yeah, they are so. Are being prepared for those will have a difficult time quickly evacuating far. Look at the word far, third sentence down, from nuclear plants. Evacuating far. Well, you better evacuate past Tokyo if it's Fukushima again. Because everything north of Fukushima, or Tokyo, including Fukushima, is a disaster. Schools, hospitals, they're looting everything, man. Nuclear decommissioning, but at the same time, they're moving everybody back into those areas that are already contaminated.
Shelters are useless. Nuclear, you're just going to move them back in there the year after. Nuclear decommissioning conference in Sofia due this week. Oh, they should go in and decommission Chernobyl and Fukushima before they open their mouth again. You know, I'm just saying, right? You can't decommission Chernobyl. You got to put a sarcophagus over it every 30 years for the next thousands of years. Fukushima, well, that's the end of this place. Well, when you think about the end of it, think about astronomical costs and new subsidies for old reactors. So every city in America would have to give the nuclear industry $3.1 million. Cities don't need that extra $3.1 million, for goodness sakes, Dana. It's no big deal. Agreed. So, not only that, but endless subsidies, endless everywhere you look on this. This is Kevin Camp article. Anybody knows me, knows Kevin Camp is an unbelievable degenerate. Unbelievable. He's remorseless in every sense of the word. He'd kill everything he got an opportunity, and he's been given the opportunity. Camp is some hard case, man. Look at this. If you want a good night's sleep and you take a sleeping pill, you sleep well. If you want a really good sleep, you could decide to take the whole packet of pills in one shot. Chances are you'll never wake up. And if you drink a shot or two of whiskey to feel mellow and relax, it should work. But if you drink a dozen bottles of whiskey, nobody can drink a dozen bottles of whiskey in one go. Most people can't possibly drink two. What that does is the reason you get drunk is it displaces oxygen molecules with alcohol molecules. And so you have less oxygen. That's why you get drunk, because you have less oxygen. That euphoria, utopia from being drunk is the lack of oxygen. I get it when I'm diving, deep diving, 14,000 hours underwater. I've done a lot of that weird kind of diving where you go down, you get drunk, you come back up, you're sober. It's the damnedest thing, of course, right? So Camp saying outrageous. And if you carry 2 liters of petrol in a bottle to put in the lawnmower tank to power up the motor, it'll work. But if you pour 2 liters of petrol on your head and light a match, you will light up the whole garden, and your neighbors will remember your name forever. What? What? Be sensible, go nuclear. You should be sensible and stop writing gibberish. And so, middle of the page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences down with the B, but people don't generally do stupid shit like that. If you're careful, petrol, pills, and whiskey are beneficial. Oh, what an idiot, man. It's the same with nuclear power. And if you treat nuclear power, nuclear fuel, and nuclear radiation professionally, I just can't even. So contrary to much public belief, nobody was killed or harmed by nuclear radiation. Oh, okay. So normally there's 3 in a million with thyroid issues for children in Japan. Now it's 13,600 out of 40,000. Not out of a million, but 40,000. And that 7 people died on one street alone. Children in school are dying of heart attacks and dropping dead. And teachers is regular anywhere in those contaminated zones, which is everything, including Tokyo, north of Tokyo. And they're all getting thyroid funds for 14 prefectures because nuclear is like a banana, right, Kevin? And Kevin, folks, is the most despicable person in South Africa, constantly out there saying it's like a banana, constantly lying to everybody. When will it ever stop? Can it ever stop? There's no one to hold these people accountable. I'm probably the only person who's ever actually called him out physically. I've done this before to him. He's a disgusting rat. Yeah, and that's being polite, is it? Right, when you think about it.
if you put a cap on any company, they go rogue on you right away. And then the taxpayers got to pay for any screw-ups or any mass murder that happened. Or any long-term events like Fukushima that could last for thousands and will last for thousands of years. That has to come into the taxpayers. The government is not some big entity that just throws money. It takes your money. It takes it from you. So they build nuclear power plants. They raise your rates. They take the money coming in and build the power plants. At what point is somebody out there going to be able to tell the truth? Because right now you can't trust a single journalist, academic, period, senator, congresspeople, or any other public spokesperson on this friggin' planet. Right, and you shouldn't. You'd be stupid too. They're going to set a cap. It's being led by the belief, electric power companies, that now is a good time to frig over the public, to rip them off, to scam them, to loot them. Anyway, we're almost finished. We're down to the ha-ha's almost. Let's keep rolling. I got 8 minutes left, so Florida Power and Lights wants to store radioactive waste under the drinking water supply. It's all there. Every bit of it is underneath, is connected to that spot. What makes this really scary is Florida Light and Power would set a precedence and other nuclear sites would start doing it also. Look, you know, they just want to fight where you got to pay them $811 million out of your pocket instead of out of theirs, and they got a profit of over $1 billion in that same period. But look, to put it down in the ground is like to avoid places like WIP and you come out and all together, bypass that and just say, oh, look, we done it here, we done it there, so that means forever you can't come out and say something to them. These people should be all sent down to Fukushima to work on Unit 3 and 4. That'll take the wind out of their steam, and nobody got to worry about them anymore. Yeah, I mean, they're literally insane to even suggest it. But they're not insane. They're educated. They're articulating $811 million from the customers, but they made $1.6 billion profit that we know about. Who knows what they stole, drove away on their truck. Smaller, safer, sexier, saltier. Somebody who supported Trump and is a billionaire said something. Oh my goodness, he said something. Let's put it in a headline and get nuclear back on track. We gotta do it. He said, he's a billionaire, Dana. He said something that's important. No, he wasn't on the toilet when he said it. Somebody heard it, Dana. They heard it, so it's true. Oh my God, Dana, he's a billionaire. We should do it. He's a billionaire, Dana. We're gonna have to do it. That kind of says it all. They just leave it at that. A billionaire said it, therefore we must do it. It's gotta be done. It's pro-nuke. We better do it before it's too late and people catch us. Yeah, no, it's not bad. This is just where we keep the bananas and potato chips that people don't eat. They're good for about 4.5 million years, man. That should be Kevin Camp's line. Australia's whack job, eh? Get your guards up down there, folks. These people are out of control. Go read that article. That burns them really good. Links are below. It's well worth reading. It's a big article. It's well done. Smoke rises. There wasn't much information on it. And they changed that headline. The global uranium price is slumped by 50%. A lot more than that. It went down to its lowest. It went down from $78 to $18. So they were lying, man. Well, I mean, it's just smoke. It's not like there's any damage. Like, I just went in and looked through the whole building. Found a bunch of people playing poker in there. I'm pretty sure that if there was smoke there to worry about, they wouldn't be playing poker there. Will a nuclear ghost town ever be livable again? These are crazies. They're crazies. This is Chernobyl. I went in and fixed. I fixed it because it was crooked. One of the Shelves on the wall. Look at that. It looks much better. You got to agree that looks way better than it. There's 1,000 people went back, but ultimately only 100 stayed. Or almost through it. And just look, you got to build that great, big, huge, massive chummy. And the workers are, no one's paying attention to them. They're doing whatever they want, being dicks, snoozing on the job, sucking up the radiation like good slaves. When you think about how big these sites are and what's really going on there, it's not much of an exaggeration. As some of you out there watching knows, personally probably done the exact same thing. I'm going to end the show today with a big ha ha ha, hopefully. Oh, that's not it. I forgot about that. Fukushima faces wall, thank goodness. I started it. I came out and banged into them and done a whole show on them dipsticks. Well, Dana, the theory is that if they have the Olympics there, everybody will be smiling and radiation can't hurt anybody. The nuclear industry doesn't have to worry about all that cancer. People were smiling, Dana. Get with the program. Probably most people out there right now don't have to worry about cancer because they're smiling. You got to do something about these people. They're crazy. You want to send your loved ones and friends and children. The IOC that's hosting Olympic event in a disaster area should be considered separately as part of ongoing restoration. You can't restore something that's completely contaminated. You can't get into Chernobyl. And Chiba Prefecture, they're going to hold surfing? We've lost our minds with 3 minutes to go. I'm pretty friggin' lucky. Japan's election's hinging on a nuclear power. The pro-nuclear candidate got a whole team of bodyguards for some reason. Now, I'm not saying there's corruption going on down there, but one of the candidates dropped out. Apparently, he's being deported back to the IAEA. Apparently, there was a rumor that a woman had an affair with one of the candidates. But she came out yesterday and said she would never cheat on the prime minister. They're having a problem with one of the pro-nuclear candidates. Every time they try to get him to say the words carbon-free, he says, TEPCO's paying. He pay no fee. One of the candidates' favorite slogans that's getting a lot of traction is, Fukushima? What Fukushima? One of the candidates won't take their medical, but don't worry, TEPCO says they're going to get to it the day after the elections. One of the candidates made a claim that if he gets elected, then the homeless don't have to work at Fukushima Daiichi plant on Sundays anymore. You remember that Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky fiasco? There's a similar one going on at Fukushima. One of the workers claimed there's a stain on his suit from one of the candidates. Dina. It's just the way it is, man. That's the show. That's all we got. That's all we're talking about. That's the game. Game on. Game over. Hugs for everybody. And we made it to Friday. I'll get some paint, try to fix up just the one wall. I'll show you pictures on Monday what the two different colors look like, or find some rags to hang there so it looks reasonable. I can fool around the weekend till our green screen shows up. And hugs for everybody. It's been a long week on everybody. I'm Thirst, Albert, Neil, Elaine, Radical, Stacy, Delamine, Thomas Ackerman. Hello, buddy. Ellie, Neil. Hugs for everybody. Omar, and everybody. Liz, everybody. Thank you so much for being you. Thank you so much for trying, for caring, for hoping, for dreaming. Take care, folks. should have to have at least one kid with 3 arms before you're allowed to run for a position in that country.